My people, welcome back. This video is going to eliminate 65 years of confusion in the Southern Cameroons and our relationship with La République du Cameroun. So pay attention to every second and every minute of this video. Do me a favor, click the subscribe button so that every time a video is uploaded, you are notified. That is your vote of confidence that I don't just want to be on the sidelines. I want to be actively involved in bringing about change. Let's dive straight into the video.
That is circulating. So among the member countries that were present, 64 voted yes for independence for Southern Cameroons. Do that research, come back here and challenge me.
My people, this is confirmation of the work I'm doing on this platform. Take a look at that document. What name is written on that document? Southern Cameroons. Did you see Ambazonia, Southern Cameroons? Look at it. Look at that document. How many countries were present to deliberate on the independence of Southern Cameroon? Not Ambazonia, Southern Cameroons. Not the Republic of Southern Cameroons. Southern Cameroons. All I did was place that name after 300 hours of studies. I just placed that name, Southern Cameroons, on the table. And you had instant recognition. Look at all those countries know you. All those countries were present when the issue and the future of Southern Cameroons was being discussed as to how we will have independence. This is the difference between Anglophones and Francophones. That when you raise an issue like this, I'm happy that these documents are circulating in the community right now. It tells me our people are waking up. The difference is when we hear something like this, we go do work. We do some research, and I'm glad this is the first step. We will get there. So let's listen to the video some more, but there is a lot for you to get out of this video that will help free you forever. Mr. John Ba Akoro raised a series of concern in this video, and he said he's putting up a challenge. But I want to say this politely with no disrespect. I will only stand up against a challenge with someone that has the same mental capacity like me to reason on this subject. And in the entire Southern Cameroons so far, the only person I can have a conversation on this subject is Barrister Harmony Bobga. And I know why I'm saying that. Let's continue listening to the video, but there's a lot for you to learn.
That is circulating. So among the member countries that were present, 64 voted yes for independence for Southern Cameroons. Do that research, come back here and challenge me, and I'll know that I definitely didn't do my job properly. The importance.
As we go through this video, I just want to make it clear. We are not attacking an individual. We are upgrading the vocabulary so that the world gets to hear us correctly. Pay attention to that so that we can have a message that is congruent, that helps us find freedom. Let's continue listening.
Of each event. This is very important for us to note. So now let's get into those dates. On the 11th of February, 1961, the people of the Southern Cameroons are consulted in a referendum to determine whether when they achieve independence, they would like to join with the already independent Federal Republic of Nigeria, or they would like to join with the already independent Republic of Cameroon. Get the condition very well. Upon achieving independence, who will you like to join with? Because the British said that the Southern Cameroons did not have enough resources to self-sustain as a state on its own. And so Yes, they will achieve independence, but they should be encouraged to join. But they must have to join with another country so that they pull together resources and be able to better survive. And so therefore, they ask the people of the Southern Cameroons, when you achieve your independence, who would you like to join? That was in February. Now, in February, the people of the Southern Cameroon decided that when we achieve independence, take note of this, when we achieve independence, which means the first condition, the precondition to joining is the achievement, the attainment of independence. This is fundamental. That is why after the 11th of February, 2 months and a few days after, on the 21st of April, take note, this comes after 11th of February. On the 21st of April, the United Nations General Assembly organizes an independence vote for Southern Cameroons. The UN General Assembly holds a session to decide on the independence of the Southern Cameroons. And all member countries of the United Nations that were present had to cast a vote either for or against independence for Southern Cameroons. And of course, that...
My people, let's start with basic grammar. This is a big problem in our community. The question said, do you choose to gain independence by joining Nigeria or Cameroon? Do you choose? Write that word by down and never forget that word. By is a preposition, basic grammar. When is an adverb. So I'm teaching. We are not here to challenge. We teach. This is a question that has to do with mechanism, not sequence. Write those words down and research them. This was an event organized by the UN. It is not some historical book written by some professor from La République du Cameroun or by some professor from Southern Cameroons for their agenda. The Southern Cameroons history is not up for debate. This was a mechanism. This was a legal instrument. That question was a legal instrument created by the UN. All you can do is try to understand it. It was not written for interpretation. Again, the word by, joining, is a preposition. Let me make it easy so that even the class 5 people will understand. If they ask you a question, do you choose to come to school by a bus or by a taxi? Do you choose to come to school by a bus or by a taxi? And then what I'm hearing is you are saying, I will get to school and then I will choose whether I will use a bicycle or I'll use a taxi or I'll use a bus. No, the question is simple. Do you choose to gain independence by joining? So that question is a block. You remember, if you've written advanced level, they used to teach us what question interpretation is all about. Because if you interpret the question wrong, you will definitely get the answer wrong. So they taught us that time again and again. We'll study over 5 years of past questions just to interpret questions properly. Like they might say, Germany was defeated by the Allied powers. Explain. Germany was defeated by the Allied powers. Explain. You will not say, oh, Germany was defeated. Germany was defeated. And then when Germany is defeated, and then we will look at what the Allied powers did. You can never ever separate the defeat of Germany with the collaboration of the Allied powers and their activities that led to Germany being defeated. This is grammar. So people went to war in our place in those days just because of misunderstanding. And that is why we thank God that we have one language that we can communicate with. Let's not make a fool of ourselves like this. Because if the world comes around and hear us speak like this, just starting with this, do you choose to gain independence by joining? Somebody say, when you gain your independence, our status is incomplete decolonization as it stands today at the UN. It's not open for debate or interpretation. This is like arguing that the plus sign is not addition. You get it? It's like saying the plus sign is not addition. This was a legal instrument created by the UN. Over 11 countries were part of the UN Trust Territories. And there was a process through which those countries achieved independence. And there were 3 ways. We'll go through that. Let's keep listening. But you heard? So the only way for you to make sense that we had independence in 1961 is to reframe the question and create your own question and then answer your question and then share that with the people. That is the only way we can do that. Because when you say when we achieve independence, that is a completely different question we are dealing with here. It didn't have to do with sequence. It had to do with the mechanism. How will you gain independence? By joining La République du Cameroun. And what is the process? We'll dive deep into that. So let's go ahead and keep listening to the video. But is this clear? You've understood the difference between an adverb and a preposition. The difference between a sequence and a mechanism. Let's keep listening.
Why you find this document that has been circulating. So among the member countries that were present, 64 voted yes for independence for Southern Cameroons. 23 voted against independence for Southern Cameroons. And then 10 countries abstained. Now, these 23 countries that voted against independence for the Southern Cameroons, among them were France. Among them were the Republic of Cameroon, La République du Cameroun, that was waiting for Southern Cameroons to achieve independence and join them. And then about all French-speaking African countries on the African continent that were already independent, with the exception of Mali. So France mobilized all French-speaking African countries on the continent, along with La République du Cameroun, to vote against independence for Southern Cameroons. Why will La République du Cameroun, that already knows, it's already guaranteed, that when the Southern Cameroons achieve independence, they will come and join me? In normal circumstances, the Republic of Cameroon should have been the entity going about canvassing for other countries to vote yes for independence for the Southern Cameroons, because we are waiting that once you achieve independence, you will join me. Hell no. France already had this notion. They have already concocted things with the British that we want these people to end up being assimilated.
This is why our people will never make progress. With all humility, when you are clouded with emotions, you can't think through your problem. It's hard for you to help yourself or help someone else. Because once you've assumed that someone is your enemy, there is no way for you to think clearly through that problem. Because you say one or two things and immediately you revert into that emotional temper tantrum. And we have to remain calm if we will make progress. But I'm glad that at least this conversation has started in the community. There is a distinction between Southern Cameroons and Ambazonia. It's like night and day. They are not the same thing. There is a difference between Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia, and Southern Cameroons. There is a difference between Ambazonia, Southern Cameroons, and Southern Cameroons. These are two distinct entities. Goji Ndinka, the founder of Ambazonia, his claim says a union treaty exists between Southern Cameroons and La République du Cameroun. And the name change in 1984 was seceding from the union. And hence Ambazonia. Never forget that. That is the foundation of this movement called Ambazonia. If you go on the UN Treaty Series website, there is no union treaty right there. Anyone can go there and check. There is no union treaty between La République du Cameroun and Southern Cameroons. So the idea of Ambazonia makes no sense. The biggest hindrance to the progress of Southern Cameroons is Ambazonia, and then La République, and then the issues that we have to tackle at the UN. Note that well. You look at the document, what does it say? Southern Cameroons. How many nations recognize you? 87 nations were present to decide your destiny, to vote on what will happen to you. Anything they will research will be based on what I have said. Southern Cameroons, that is all I did. And then I talk about jurisdiction. They've been clamoring justice, justice, peace. And I told you, you can never have justice without understanding jurisdiction. And some think this is small. We have built a society that we believe that a gun is more important than a book. We will fight before we think. So these are some of the challenges we are facing, and that is why the UN should really help Southern Cameroons be a sovereign state all by itself. Because if only within Southern Cameroons, the grammar is a problem for us to understand, then how are we going to make progress interpreting what we say in the Southern Cameroons for those in La République du Cameroun to understand what we are doing? Just within us. And this is why I encourage us to stop speaking pidgin English. Speak your native tongue and then speak proper English. Because the way our people interpret grammar, it tells me they are understanding through a different language. Because this is how thought or logic is formulated in pidgin. You interpret things this way. And this can lead to people going to war, claiming that we had independence in 1961. It is incomplete decolonization, incomplete independence. Why? Because the terms through which we were supposed to gain that independence was not fulfilled. We will go through that. Do you understand? Do you choose to gain independence by joining? Even if we will challenge the UN, that we are still facing challenges today, so come in and help us. Let them understand that we understand grammar and can explain what they said or what they wrote in their laws. You cannot go into court and you try to change what was written in law, understand it the way you want to understand it, and then interpret it and explain that to your people. No, you interpret what the law says accurately, and then you can go on to state your claim. Are you understanding, my people? This is 65 years. Just this 2025. The plebiscite question that was asked on February 11, 1961 is still not understood by our people. And I know it's not just Mr. Jomba Akuru. This goes on in our community. We hear this in our community on the regular. So again, we are not attacking an individual. It's an idea in our community because he talks with people. And so maybe they put ideas like this in his mouth to come share as well. But let's clear this and put it to rest. Let's keep listening.
Coyly annexed into the Republic of Cameroon. And that is why the first measure was to try and see if they could play games and have the Southern Cameroons not get enough votes to achieve independence, so that by the deadline set of the 1st of October, we will simply sink. The Southern Cameroon will simply sink into La République du Cameroun, as it seems to be the case right now.
You take that document to all those countries with the name Southern Cameroons, instant recognition. That's why I said this case is very easy but technical. Your choice of words matter. If not, the war will allow you to rant and shout and perish, and no one will listen. Ambazonia doesn't make sense at all. To assume that a union treaty existed, and so La République changing the name is seceding from that union. Do you understand? We have to be humble. I said, America, they came back from Iraq and they realized the war was not a good idea. They apologized to their people. It's okay to make mistakes. A brother told me that some in our community would rather die. That means you back home hoping for peace, hoping for change. For some of your leaders to change their minds, they would rather die than change their minds. That means if your freedom is tied to them changing their mind, forget about it. And when you guys are talking about Southern Cameroons now in the community, make sure you quote me on that. You were clamoring international recognition, and I did that, and I haven't even started. Just place the name Southern Cameroons on the table. Now you go research and you find documents and you can see the legal name of that people. Now you can take it and try to twist it, add some other things on it, but that is it. Southern Cameroons, just leave it like that.
But unfortunately for them, 64 countries voted yes, and only 23 voted no, and there were 10 abstentions. And when that was done, the 1st of October 1961 was set as the day on which the Southern Cameroons would get its mantle as an independent state. And the day was also set as being the day that upon achieving its independence, the Southern Cameroons will officially get into a joining with the Republic of Cameroon. So the question that I ask you now that you know all these facts, did the Southern Cameroons achieve independence? Was the Southern Cameroons a country at the time it joined with the Republic of Cameroon? I know that you are tongue-tied.
You can only arrive at that conclusion after you reframe the question the way you want. If you answer the question that the UN asked, you won't arrive at that conclusion. Now, let me help you understand something, my people. Do you wish to gain independence by joining Nigeria or the Republic of Cameroon? So this is not a philosophical question because people don't understand this. That's why I say we use frameworks. That is what I'm giving you. It should be standard. It's like plus. You don't debate whether plus is addition. If you debate that, anyone that understands mathematics will look at you as if you are crazy. You can discuss what you're adding, what you're subtracting, but you can't debate on this science. So, do you wish to gain independence by joining? That is what you put in the ballot box. You do not put, do you choose to gain independence? You put that in the ballot box. And then they say, by joining, after you vote, it says, do you choose to gain independence by joining Nigeria or La République du Cameroun? So that word by is very important, that preposition. So it is not a philosophical question, it is a legal mechanism. So the question tells you, as plain as simple, you will not gain independence on your own. This is how international diplomats pay attention to what you say, by understanding the question first. You know this when you were writing advanced level. You don't interpret a question this way. Talk less of a question framed by the United Nations. These people have built countries that you go to and find freedom to even feed your families back home. The systems that they have built work, including their roads, including the safety signs and everything that you enjoy. It's like telling me that if I pick this phone and call somebody, it won't work. You know, if you pick up this phone and call, it will work, because these people took time to build stuff. So try to understand it. You can present your case in the best way that you can, but don't misinterpret the question. And this goes to everyone in our community as well. So you will not gain independence on your own. That is what that question says. You will gain independence only through joining an already independent state. So that is the meaning of by. You get to walk by a bus. We go back now and start teaching basic grammar, what we learned in school. You gain strength by eating food. You can't say I'll gain strength and then I eat food. You gain strength by eating food. So you gain independence by joining. So if the entire process was not completed, then our status will remain incomplete. And we can see that at the UN. Hitler was defeated by the Allied powers. You can't just say Hitler was defeated. Hitler was defeated. And then when Hitler is defeated, and then we'll go on to look at what the Allied powers did. They worked together. By. In essence, Southern Cameroons would gain independence by joining an already independent state. In every case, by is equal to the mechanism that make the results possible. Let me repeat that slowly. By is the mechanism that makes the results possible. Without the by, the results is not possible. So we never fully gain independence, and our status is incomplete independence, incomplete decolonization, because that was the mission that the UN assigned to those who were administering these trust territories, to prepare them for independence. Why must the state you join already be independent? Because the UN trusteeship system requires that. A trust territory cannot become independent into a vacuum. That is what trusteeship was all about. It must join a sovereign, internationally recognized state, or become an independent state recognized by UN members. Southern Cameroons was not offered the option of full sovereign independence. So you say we gain our independence and then we choose to join. The option was not offered. You see the three options that were given to all the other states. All the 11 trust territories gained their independence using one of these ways. And when the UN comes back, that is what they will follow. If they realize we are clear, factual, and strategic at the same time. And I see most of us are tactical, not strategic. It was only offered, join Nigeria, join La République du Cameroun. If you can explain to them with clarity what they did, then they can listen to the complaint you lay. But if you can't explain to them what they did, it will be hard to listen to the complaint you even place on the table about the challenges we are facing in the Southern Cameroons. To even think that a union treaty existed, that makes everything confusing. And then you say La République seceded from the union. That is Kochin Dinka's philosophy. That is Ambazonia's philosophy. That is the visionary. Whoever said, that is what the visionary believed. So, why? Because the UN believed Southern Cameroons was not economically or administratively ready to stand alone. When you see the infighting in our communities today, the challenges we face today, won't you agree that they saw something we didn't see back then that is still manifesting today? You teach like this, people take ideas that you teach, they don't give credit, they don't come close to ask questions. People are high up there. Don't you see the same challenges? We will build this country with humility, with respect for people's ability, not because of how old you are. When what you're saying confuses everyone, and people have died, thousands of people, because of an idea that was not well thought out. La République du Cameroun and Ambazonia will have to prove to the people of Southern Cameroons the Union Treaty Southern Cameroons signed with La République du Cameroun. So because the UN believed Southern Cameroon was not economically and administratively ready to stand alone, and they said this openly in the Trusteeship Council debate. We have to study. The document he is citing after that resolution 1608 was issued. That is our last bus stop at the UN. That document was about that meeting that led to the issuing of resolution 1608. And when you see people talking about people voting, why do you think they were voting? On how we will have independence after the plebiscite had already been conducted and the questions on the plebiscite ballot was clear. La République du Cameroun and the rest of the nations that voted no to the independence of Southern Cameroons, they were not voting that the independence of Southern Cameroons should not happen. They were voting against that system. They feel like it was rushed. Nigeria got their independence in 1960. La République du Cameroun got their independence in 1960 as well. This made them eligible to carry Southern Cameroons into independence by joining, by a union. So, what is the legal logic? Joining is equal to act of union. So you gain your independence through joining. You only remain healthy by eating food. Act of union must be expressed through a treaty, and this is a very important point in this conversation that many are missing. A treaty must be signed by Britain, the administering authority, Southern Cameroons, the self-government. I say we had self-government. Foncha was the prime minister. And La République du Cameroun, foreign state. These three entities had to sign and ratify that union treaty for us to have our independence on October 1st, 1961. So all those nations were voting on the date. They were saying yes administrative cost was too high for Britain. At that time, this is post World War II. We had Cold War at that time. So Britain wanted to leave that territory as fast as possible. The administrative cost was too high. The other countries that were voting no, it's like, okay, La République already had their challenges. Now you want this nation to join them. That is also going to be administrative cost. So they were not saying no, that we will never have independence. They were looking at the time, the mechanism, the kind of questions the UN asked, like, okay, why didn't you just give these people their independence? So there was many reasons why they voted no. And if you see Resolution 1608, helps us understand why La République du Cameroun was skeptical. Imagine they got their independence in 1960. And so you want another nation to join them while they are still trying to put things together. So that is why they voted no. They were voting on the mechanism that the United Nations has structured for the independence of Southern Cameroons. Not that they didn't want us to be free. Because the question said, do you choose to gain independence by joining Nigeria or by joining Cameroon? Since everybody had voted to join Cameroon, now they are there to vote on the next steps. It was scheduled for October 1st. And if the process wasn't followed, that is why our status remained incomplete. So a treaty must be deposited under Article 102 of the UN Charter. Deposit must occur before the effective date, which was October 1st, 1961. So from May to September, they had to sign, ratify, and register that union treaty at the UN for us to gain independence and join La République du Cameroun simultaneously. These were the two layers inside of that question. We are gaining independence and we are joining La République du Cameroun. This was the process and the structure laid for trust territories. Now, this is what you should understand, and this is the bombshell. No treaty was signed. No treaty was deposited. No union was formed. Therefore, independence was never completed. That is why I said La République extended their administration into Southern Cameroons illegally without documentation. Just like a bus is the method for getting to school. If the bus never comes, you don't reach school. Joining was the method for getting independence. If joining never legally happened, independence never happened. Grammar. That question is not hard to understand. So again, did we gain independence by submitting to an already independent state? That is exactly what the UN question required.
Because you can no longer say no. The federal constitution of the Federal Republic of Cameroon makes that abundantly clear. You don't need to go to a soothsayer to find it out, because that federal constitution in its Article 56 refers to the Southern Cameroons as the Republic of Southern Cameroons. That is how it had to be called.
When you see that document, even the draft, archaic document created unilaterally by La République du Cameroun, you still see Southern Cameroons on it, even though they say the Republic of Southern Cameroons. So that is your legal name that can help you find freedom in this world. We are not the first. People have fought wars out of confusion. So take it easy with yourself. I think some of you, it's hard, but people have done that over time. You're not the first. And then when they realize themselves, some continue that way while others abandoned that direction and follow the direction that they can find freedom. So Ambazonia and Southern Cameroons know that today it is distinct. It's like night and day. And something, we can say we were Southern Cameroons, now we are calling ourselves Ambazonia, and so the world will listen to you. Brother, as long as you are confused, don't expect anyone to support you in your confusion. If you haven't had clarity yet, don't expect any country on earth. This kind of arrogance and hoping that people should join you in it and support you in, brother, no. At the end of the day, they will have to document this and update the UN records on our case. What do you think they should write in there? Let me ask you. They should write in there that a union treaty existed between Southern Cameroons and La République du Cameroun, and La République du Cameroun seceded from that union. You know what is really troubling us? We come from this kind of society where we believe you can just discuss with people and it is legally binding. That is what is disturbing us. We have issues, land disputes in families because of this. Parents die without writing a will. And so children are left behind fighting each other. And now we are hoping that everyone interprets what the father said, what the mother said, what the uncle said to bring about justice. And people look like this in our families. I'm saying this because I've seen this firsthand, even in families. So I understand us in a way that you will never ever believe. We have this in every family. Or you call a neighbor or a brother, give them a land to start farming. All of a sudden, they say, oh, they own that land. You've seen that. You gave your neighbor a land. All of a sudden, that neighbor says, I own that land right now. You are in court fighting with that neighbor. These are issues we have. And people have to start learning how to write contracts, sign contracts, honor contracts in our community. It will reduce hundreds of years of confusion. Documentation. So you think I don't understand what is going on with us? I know what is going on with us. And so we've collectively brought that into this crisis, into this problem, and we are trying to make sure that works. And we think you can talk your way out of this. Chill. This is 9 years. It just took me 300 hours to just study the trusteeship documents, the resolution 1608. Which is what everyone should have been mentioning, not any other document. Was that document ratified? Was that constitution signed? All of those might be supporting documents, including the vote at the UN, to show that La République was saying no. The process was rushed. They wanted internal arrangements because getting into a union like that is administrative cost for them too. And if they sign it, it will be legally binding. But they didn't know that the relationship would turn out to be productive in the long run. They would have followed the law. So Aijo rejected the idea of signing that union treaty when Foncha approached him and said, let's do that before you declare independence. He used that draft constitution to declare independence and a union because he wanted an internal arrangement on the whole thing. So we have to not just be caught up in our pain, but try to understand the totality of the case. Why Britain was in the rush, why other nations supported the independence, why it did not happen, and what we can do moving forward. It's incomplete independence, incomplete decolonization. This is not open for debate. I know everything we want to put our mouth in there, but no. This is not my opinion as well. Let's keep listening.
Because with effect from the 1st of October 1961, this was now the Republic of Southern Cameroons. So you see how the dates explain this to you. So now you will notice that if it simply meant that the United Nations in its letter and spirit expected the Southern Cameroons to simply sink into the Republic of Cameroon, no, they will never, after the plebiscite of February 11, it would have ended there. They would not have gone ahead again 2 months later to hold an independence vote. That independence vote was not a formality because achieving independence was a precondition to the joining. I hope it's clear, absolutely clear for all of us to understand. It was the Republic of Southern Cameroons that got into some joining with the Republic of Cameroon.
The Republic of Southern Cameroons is written by La République du Cameroun in that document. When you look at the UN documents, it's the Southern Cameroons, not the Republic. And these are our Francophone counterparts. And again, what is happening with us mentally, English-speaking people, because of all this trauma, we have subjected ourselves under these people to an extent that we think they are superior than us, even the way we speak. These are people we are supposed to be guiding, and I've shown you numerous times that the entire Francophone system has failed in most countries in Africa, while the English system, look at America, look at other countries that speak English. English has been running the world for 300 years. You put yourself low and then you are trying to scream and let the world hear you. And then another thing I will say and then I'll leave you. I've watched Mr. John Ba Akoro's videos a couple of times. This is what I will advise you, sir. I hear the rhetoric of blaming France. I'll tell you that is not wise at all. There are 5 nations, the 5 P's of the UN. Even if we were looking for recognition as Ambazonia, if we want Southern Cameroons to be a free state, let's be strategic and wise. Let's be careful with our words. There are 5 nations that you should be careful how you speak about them. If the goal is to prove to your people that you are strong, okay. If the goal is to free your people, these 5 nations, keep them out of your mouth. That's all I can say. The United States of America, Britain, France, Russia, China. These are the countries that brought Hitler to his knees. And that is why they were managing predominantly the trust affairs in Africa at that time. They've paid their dues. They sacrificed millions of people. And that is why they run the war today. So if you want freedom for your people, you speak well about the judge. If you insult the judge, freedom will never come. You know that. Go to court, insult the judge. So these are the people that can decide the future of Southern Cameroons. They are the ones that will sign. Do you understand? These 5 nations. My people, even scripture teaches us that make peace with your adversary while you are going to court. Imagine all the donors, the people that are donating for your cause. You get up and you insult them. Try it. Insult them, and then next month, call them for donation. Call them for donations and see how they respond. So this case is about these people hearing us. And we have to be clear, factual, calm, and respectful in the process. And not say things that we don't have a clue about and have no facts to back it up. All those arrangements we claim happened between Britain and France. Is that factual? Can you produce some documentation that backs that position or backs what you're saying? And is that arrangement legal? If it's not legal, then we can't use that as a base for an argument. And you all, if you've had at least a master's degree, you understand the power of citations, or PhD. Citation. You don't come to court and then you produce vague stories like that, hoping to be heard. And you start practicing that on your platform. You have a platform and people are hearing you, they are listening to you. Let's build a community that is based on facts so that we can make progress as a people. I'm glad that at least you did the work after the documents were circulating in the community. That's a good step towards progress. At least we are making progress. Let's make sure we speak with one voice and be clear on these issues. Now you understand why the plebiscite question was framed the way it was framed. Now you understand why they had that meeting, why they voted. And now you understand why our status is incomplete independence, incomplete decolonization. These were colonial territories, trust territories. The goal was not just independence, was incomplete decolonization. Because, independence, no, it was complete decolonization. That was the project. To lead these people towards independence and complete decolonization, so that they can run their affairs independent of colonial masters. Do you understand? This is how we make progress. When we stand before the UN and we are very clear with our words, we help them understand that we understand English. We understand the meaning of words. We understand the context of that era and why certain decisions were made. But these are the challenges we are facing today. And we are here so that we can make amendments. We are not here to challenge you. We are here to say the job you started was not completed. It's incomplete independence, incomplete decolonization because of this question that we see and everything that has happened to us. This is what our people are going through. Just imagine the challenges we are facing understanding English. How are we going to build a society, a country, with those who don't even speak the same language like us? That is why Southern Cameroons should really be left to be a nation all by itself. As we conclude, let me share with you the 11 countries that were part of this UN Trust Territory project and the 3 ways through which these nations got their independence. So if the UN is coming back today, we will either push for one of these options. Now, under the United Kingdoms, we had British Cameroons. That is the Northern and Southern Cameroons. We had Tanganyika. We had British Togoland. Under France, we had French Cameroon. So La République du Cameroun was a trust territory as well. We had French Togoland. Under Belgium, we had Rwanda Urundi or Rwanda Burundi. Under Australia, with New Zealand and UK partnership, we had territory of New Guinea. We had Nauru, that is administered jointly with the NZ and UK, that is the New Zealand and UK. Under the United States, we had Trust Territory of the Pacific Island, that is Marshall Island. We had Palau, we had Micronesia, we had Northern Mariana Islands. Under New Zealand, we had Western Samoa. And then under Japan, after World War II, Japan lost all colonial rights. So US administered it under the trusteeship system. So all the territories that were seized from Germany and Japan, Germany and Japan, they were attacked in. So all of this was placed under the UN trusteeship system. So Southern Cameroons was one of these 11, and one of the few whose decolonization process never completed. This is your story, and nothing else that anyone tells you is true. Do you understand? This is what the world understands about that area. There were only 3 ways a UN trust territory could gain self-government or independence, as defined by Resolution 1541 of the UN Charter. So this is very crucial to our case as well. So number 1, full independence as a sovereign state. That was the number 1 option. La République du Cameroun gained their independence that way. The territory became fully independent and joins the UN. That includes Rwanda, Burundi. Number 2, free association with another independent state. That was the second option. A formal agreement where the territory remains self-governing. It voluntarily associates with a larger state. The association agreement can be terminated. The smaller state retains internal self-government. This is what I think Gojin Dinka was trying to maybe articulate at some point in his journey to formulate this idea. The Cook Islands with New Zealand followed this pattern, and the New with New Zealand also followed this pattern. This required a formal treaty registered under Article 102. Number 3, integration with an independent state. The trust territory joins another sovereign state through a legal union. But the UN requires a genuine act of choice, which is plebiscite. That is what we had on 11 February 1961. A negotiated treaty. Fumban was supposed to serve that purpose. Tripartite conferences were supposed to be held between La République du Cameroun, Britain, and Southern Cameroons. There is no legal tripartite conference that accompanied this union and a ratified union treaty. A clear constitutional arrangement, not a constitution drafted unilaterally by La République du Cameroun. And we have that circulating in the community as a base for this union. A clear constitutional arrangement. Britain was supposed to be involved. That is why we go back to the UN to say the whole process was incomplete. Not having people from Southern Cameroons take positions in that government will cut this. It can't replace a union treaty. Because the arrangement that went on afterwards was based on that draft constitution. And they say, oh, the prime minister came from this side and all of that. No, you don't do things like that. And some say it became East and West Cameroon. La République du Cameroun created that. Without a union treaty, we don't even go into East and West Cameroon. that the Southern Cameroons disappeared. Now we have, the UN says decolonization incomplete. And they are the final authority on this subject, not Yaoundé. What they say, we will follow. Not what you create in Yaoundé or in Cameroon. You don't have a choice about this. Because I know you are too opinionated. You want to make sure that your voice is heard. What I'm sharing with you here is facts. It's not an emotion. It's not how I feel, it's the truth. We have become so used to lies that truth is something that even us, I'm shocked. Some of us are uncomfortable with truth, even in the Southern Cameroons. This is what we have become. Again, drop this. Drop it. Humble yourself. Speak nicely of the people that you want help from. The people that can stand up and make a decision about your case. Be strategic. Do not be emotional. Full equality of peoples. That is what we wanted. And that is what this option comes with. The third option, the United Nations chose for us. And when I look at that choice today and everything that happened, I understand why. But let's demonstrate competence, leadership, that we even understand grammar, so that they can hear us correctly. Registration of the union agreement with the UN. So, example, British Togoland joined Ghana after a referendum and plus a treaty. So they gained their independence by joining, and it was legal, and they have a union treaty at the UN under Article 102. French Cameroon became the Republic of Cameroon. And here is where Southern Cameroons failed. The plebiscite happened, but the treaty never happened. Therefore, integration never happened. Therefore, independence never legally materialized. This is the heart of our argument. And this is our legal status and our stance today. Don't let anyone with a loud tone tell you otherwise. Why this matters for Southern Cameroons is because under Resolution 1541, Southern Cameroons needed a treaty, constitutional agreement, a tripartite conference. They don't even talk about this. Again, when people talk on these subjects, if they can't outline these steps in sequence that was supposed to lead to independence and complete decolonization of Southern Cameroons, they don't understand what they are talking about. If somebody says Southern Cameroons and then jump around and say Ambazonia, they don't understand this story. If somebody say Ambazonia, they don't understand this story. And following them, you will remain trapped. Upgrade your speeches in the community with new information, accurate information, the truth about our story. This is what was supposed to happen for us to have complete independence. That is why our status remains incomplete decolonization. A treaty, a constitutional agreement, a tripartite conference, registration under Article 102, formal recognition of a new international status doesn't exist. Go on the UN Treaty Series website and check it out for yourself. This is not something we're supposed to be debating about. We can be talking about something else. We have a lot of work to do. This is not even a subject we should be debating about. This took me a lot of work to clarify us after 65 years. From 1995, people have been filing documents like this at the UN. You see, just this argument, this is what they will draft and go file. And then say the world did not hear us. And then we come back and we start insulting other nations. We turn it into a black and white thing. So none of this occurred. So what does the international law calls this? International law calls this incomplete decolonization. Full stop. You don't need any lawyer in our community to interpret this to you. Incomplete decolonization. If you argue on this status that Southern Cameroons have, it's like saying Christians don't go to church to worship Jesus. That Christians go to church to worship Allah. That is how it feels in my brain. That's why I tell people, this is not about debate. There are some people we can debate with, but this we teach. When I hear how you formulate your logic, I can understand what is going on. We have to be humble to learn, my people. We have been in pain for a very long time. I speak with so much passion because it grieves me to see talented people, smart people that could coordinate themselves and do something amazing with their lives perish right before my face. And I really see where they hit the rock and keep hitting it and hoping that something will change. So it is incomplete decolonization. Use that word. You are probably hearing this for the first time because we've been watching. None of them understood this. It's incomplete decolonization. That is what the UN recognizes about Southern Cameroons today. Not any story that we've arranged in the community. Not independence, not integration with La République du Cameroun, not free association, incomplete decolonization. A failed process. It's never completed. This is exactly why the UN must reopen the file when a proper petition is deposited. They have to open this file. And we have to do things right. There's a lot of work to do. And we can't be trying to do this work and then people are confusing the community with another message, not making sure that they share with the people exactly what needs to be done. This is confusion for 9 years, and we take time to clarify this. We should be informing the community on the update, and we start going that direction, and not saying, "Oh, this is my way." Because if it was really about the people, you should change. But if this was about you, then it would be hard to change. If it was about you and your ego and who you are and what you want to do, then our people will perish. But if it was about the people and about Southern Cameroons, about our freedom, people should be humble to change. And this is what we'll realize, because we build frameworks around every angle as to how we solve this problem. People's behavior after listening to a message like this will tell us where they stood in the beginning of all of this. Was it about the people, or was it about an individual? Was it about Southern Cameroons? Was it about our freedom, or was it about another agenda? We will tell from people's behaviors moving forward. Now, I'll give you a summary that you can use anywhere around the world on this subject and have a constructive, reasonable conversation about your status. Let's begin with the purpose of the trusteeship. The trusteeship system existed to guide territories to a final political status. There were 11 trust territories. Every single one completed decolonization through one of 3 legal paths. Full independence, that's number 1. Number 2, free association. And number 3, integration through a treaty. Southern Cameroons attempted path 3, but never completed the legal requirement, leaving its decolonization incomplete. Full stop. Do you get that? The trusteeship system existed to guide territories to a final political status. There were 11 trust territories. Every single one completed decolonization through one of 3 legal paths. Number 1, full independence. Number 2, free association. Number 3, integration through a treaty. People have mixed in all of this. Take one, join with number two. So you take the number three, you look at what did this number three required, and we dive inside and we look at all the components of that number three, and was it fulfilled? If not, okay, incomplete. This is the kind of depth of thinking that your head aches, just going through peer review papers, literatures, books, and reading just to understand this issue. Understand the countries that were involved. How did they gain their independence? What was the mechanism? Which one was assigned to us? And was it followed to the end? No, the status incomplete. Southern Cameroons attempted path 3, but never completed the legal requirements, leaving its decolonization incomplete. Independence incomplete, decolonization incomplete. I rest my case, my lord.